From high above the Earth, a remarkable photograph was taken. It shows the Korean land at night, seen from space. In this picture, one side, South Korea, shines very brightly. You can see countless lights from its big cities, busy highways, and many factories. This glow clearly shows a country that is rich and full of life. However, the other side, North Korea, looks almost entirely dark. There is hardly any light, only a tiny spot marking its main city, Pyongyang. This deep darkness covers a large area, from the border with China all the way to the line that separates North and South Korea. This single image is more than just a photo. It tells a powerful story about two places that started the same. Both North and South Korea have a shared history and the same culture. They were once one country and faced similar challenges after a difficult war. Yet they chose very different paths for their future. The bright lights of South Korea and the vast darkness of North Korea show a huge difference. South Korea grew into a rich, modern, and open nation. North Korea, on the other hand, became one of the most closed-off and poor countries in the world. This book will explain how this great difference happened. It will look at the important choices these countries made over many years. It is a story about how different ideas for a country's future can lead to two extremely different worlds. We will explore the journey that shaped the lives of millions and created this clear divide, visible even from space. 2. Two countries, one start. The Korean War ended in the year 1953. It left the whole Korean land in ruins. Many cities were completely erased. 70% of textile factories and 80% of power plants were destroyed. Both North and South Korea were left extremely poor and broken. They shared a deep sadness from the war and a hard task of rebuilding. At first, some people thought North Korea would have an easier start. It had more factories because of older Japanese colonial infrastructure in the north. Also, the Soviet Union quickly gave a lot of aid to North Korea. This made North Korea's economy a bit stronger than South Korea's in the first years after the war. North Korea's money per person was 30 to 50% higher than South Korea's until the early 1960s. Both countries had strong leaders. In the South, Syngman Rhee ruled with a firm hand. His government received much money and support from the United States of America. This aid was about $4.4 billion between 1953 and the early 1960s. In the North, Kim Il-sung built his own strong system. He got around $3 billion in help from the Soviet Union and China during the same period. Life for most people was very hard in both Koreas. In 1960, a person in South Korea made only about $100 a year. Many homes did not have electricity or running water. People used rice straw on their feet to keep warm in winter. Meat was a rare food for special days. South Korea struggled, especially with its farms and unstable politics during these early years. So, after the war, North Korea and South Korea looked quite similar in many ways. They were both poor and struggling. They both had leaders who held strong power. And they both depended on bigger, stronger countries for help to survive. It was a time of immense challenge, and no one knew how different their futures would become. 3. South Korea's big plan. In the 1960s, South Korea was still a very poor country. But a new leader, General Park Chung-hee, had a big idea to change its future. He took power in 1961 and looked at the country's problems. His plan was different from what many other countries were doing. Instead of trying to produce everything for South Korea's own people, he decided the country should make specific things really well and sell them to other countries. This was called an export strategy. It meant that products made in South Korea would be sent out to markets all over the world. The government under Park Chung-hee worked closely with businesses to make this happen. It set up a special group, the Economic Planning Board, and started the first 5-year economic development plan in 1962. The government offered help to companies that showed they could export. This help included giving them money, special tax reductions, and easy loans. This made it easier for businesses to grow and produce more goods for sale abroad. A key part of this strategy was the support for large family-owned companies known as chaebol. The word chaebol combines Korean words for wealth and clan. These were big groups of businesses like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG. These companies started small but became very large with government help. They were important because they could make many different kinds of products, from televisions to ships and cars, all to be sold in other countries. The government protected these big companies from foreign competition and gave them resources, asking them to meet high export goals. This system helped South Korea build a strong industry very quickly. Another vital choice South Korea made was to invest a lot in education. The government knew that skilled workers were necessary to make high-quality products. So it put much money into schools and universities. South Korean families also strongly believed that going to school was very important for their children's future. This focus created a smart and well-trained workforce. These educated people could learn new technologies and work in the growing factories. Their skills helped to improve the quality of goods South Korea exported. Through these plans, South Korea's economy began to grow at an amazing speed. Exports, which were small in the early 1960s, grew to billions of dollars by the 1970s. This transformation showed that the choice to open up to the world and focus on selling abroad was working. South Korea was moving towards becoming a strong economic power, all thanks to its big plan from the 1960s. 4. North Korea builds a wall. While South Korea started to work with other countries, North Korea chose to stay closed off from the world. Their leader, Kim Il-sung, had a special idea he called juche, which means self-reliance. This idea began in the mid-1950s. Kim Il-sung wanted North Korea to do everything by itself, without foreign help. He believed they should build all things and do all things on their own. Juche meant saying no to almost all foreign help and even foreign ideas. North Korea built a wall, not made of bricks, but of rules and beliefs. This wall kept the outside world and new ways of thinking away. It rejected the entire global system to ensure independence. This choice had big effects on North Korea's economy. While South Korean businesses learned new ways and worked with global companies, North Korean factories worked alone. They used increasingly old machines and old methods. New technology and fresh ideas could not easily come into the country. This made it very hard for their industries to grow and get better. North Korea focused its money on heavy industry. They made steel, chemicals, and many things for the army. Building a strong military was very important for them. This focus on the army and big industries came at a cost. They did not make enough everyday consumer goods for their people. Citizens often faced chronic shortages of basic items. The country also spent a lot on showing the world that juche was great. But inside, many people faced problems because of these choices. North Korea built a rigid system that put its special ideas and military power first, more than making life comfortable or prosperous for its citizens. This choice created a very isolated path for North Korea. 5. A new South Korea. By the 1980s, South Korea had become much richer. People enjoyed better living conditions, but they also wanted political freedom. They wished to have more of a voice in how their country was run. In the year 1987, many South Koreans began to protest in large numbers. Hundreds of thousands of people gathered in the streets. Their main demand was for true democracy and direct presidential elections. The government at that time, which was controlled by the military, listened to the public's wishes. It agreed to allow citizens to vote for their president directly. This decision was a turning point for South Korea, marking the beginning of a new political era, where leaders would be chosen by the people, not by military rulers. The path to full democracy was challenging. In 1997, South Korea faced a serious economic crisis, part of what was known as the Asian financial crisis. The national currency lost its value quickly, and many companies struggled, leading to high unemployment. This period was very hard for many families. However, instead of returning to old ways, South Korea embraced more democratic reforms. In a historic election, they chose Kim Dae-jung, a former opposition leader, as their president. This election was notable because it was the first time power passed peacefully from one party to an opposition party in the country's history. To recover from the economic problems, South Korea took strong actions. With support from the International Monetary Fund, the government made its big family-owned companies, known as chaebol, more efficient and transparent. These reforms helped the economy recover and made South Korean businesses stronger and more innovative. This difficult period ultimately led to a more competitive and stable economic system. Following these economic and political changes, South Korea discovered a new kind of success: its culture. In the early 2000s, the Korean Wave, or Hallyu, started to spread globally. South Korean television dramas, movies, and pop music, like K-pop, gained huge popularity. Famous groups such as BTS and critically acclaimed films like Parasite introduced Korean culture to audiences worldwide. This cultural boom was not by chance. It showed South Korea's desire to be open and connected with the world. The government actively supported these efforts, recognizing cultural exports as a powerful way to share South Korea's spirit. 6. A sad time in North Korea. In the early 1990s, North Korea faced a very difficult time. Its main helper, the Soviet Union, collapsed in 1991. This event was a huge blow to North Korea, as it lost important economic support and easy trade that had kept its system working. Without this help, the country struggled. China, another important partner, also started to ask market prices for its goods instead of providing cheap aid. North Korea's strict, closed economic system could not change quickly enough to deal with these new problems from the outside world. Food started to become very scarce. The country's old farming methods were not efficient, and there was not enough fertilizer or good equipment. Then, in 1995, severe floods hit North Korea, destroying many farms and making the food shortage much worse. The country entered a terrible period of hunger, which its government later called the Arduous March. This famine caused immense suffering and killed many people. Conservative estimates suggest that at least 600,000 to 1 million North Koreans died during these years. Some believe the number was even higher, possibly up to 3.5 million deaths. Survivors described eating tree bark, grass, and anything else they could find to stay alive. Many children suffered from severe malnutrition, leading to lasting health problems and affecting their growth for a lifetime. During this sad and critical time, North Korea's leaders made a difficult choice. Instead of opening the country to international aid and market reforms that might have saved lives, they chose to maintain their strict control. They focused on a new policy called Songun, which means military-first politics. This policy put the country's armed forces and military strength above all else. Even while ordinary people were starving, the government continued to spend money on its army and on building nuclear weapons. Often, food aid from international groups was diverted. It went to feed the military and party officials, rather than reaching the hungry families and children who needed it most. The nuclear weapons program, which had started in the 1980s, became even more important during the 1990s. The leaders saw these weapons as the only way to protect the country and ensure the survival of their government, despite the deep suffering of their population. This military-first approach meant that the armed forces received the largest share of the nation's limited resources. The well-being of civilian citizens became secondary to military preparation, deepening North Korea's isolation and commitment to its unique militarized path. 7. Two different worlds. Today, the difference between North and South Korea is huge. It is like looking at two completely different countries. South Korea is a rich, modern place, full of bright lights and new technology. North Korea, sadly, is one of the poorest countries, often dark at night from space. The money people earn shows this clearly. In South Korea, people earn about $34,000 a year. In North Korea, people earn only about $600 a year. This is a very wide gap. We can understand this big difference through the stories of people who escaped from North Korea. These people, called defectors, bravely leave their homes to find a better life. When they arrive in South Korea, many say it feels like they have traveled through time, many decades into the future. Simple things that South Koreans use every day are like magic to them. One defector was very shocked by a supermarket. In North Korea, they were lucky to have simple soap. But in a South Korean supermarket, there were so many different kinds of shampoo, it was hard to understand. Another person saw South Koreans using mobile phones for the first time. Everyone was looking at small screens in their hands. The defector thought people were strange or even sick because they had never seen such a thing. It is not only about new things. The freedom to choose is also a big change. In North Korea, the government tells people where to live, what job to do, and what to study. In South Korea, people can choose these things for themselves. But for defectors, having so many choices can be difficult and make them feel lost at first. They sometimes feel worried or sad because they need to learn how to make their own decisions. The language has also changed a lot. Both countries speak Korean, but after 70 years, they use different words. South Korea uses many English words now and has new street talk. This means North Koreans often do not understand everyday talks or signs in the South. Their accent also makes them sound different, like outsiders. The cultures are also very far apart. South Korea makes music like K-pop, movies, and TV shows that people love all over the world. It is a country that connects with many others. North Korea, however, makes art and stories that only praise its leaders and government ideas. It does not want any outside ideas to come in. This shows how open one country is and how closed the other is. Economically, South Korea is a leader in new technology, like phones and cars. Its companies spend a lot of money to make new things. North Korea still uses old ways of making things, like from the 1950s. It mostly sells things like coal and fish. This means North Korea cannot grow and get richer like South Korea. 8. The final lesson. The story of North and South Korea teaches us a very important lesson. It shows how a country's choices change everything. After the war, both countries were poor, but their leaders chose different paths. South Korea chose to be open to the world. It wanted to trade with other countries and let new ideas come in. This choice helped South Korea become rich and strong. Its people got more freedom and chances. They could choose jobs, start businesses, and travel. Today, South Korea is a modern country with bright lights seen from space. This path brought good things. North Korea chose to close its doors. Its leaders believed in juche, or self-reliance. This made the country very isolated. New ideas and goods could not enter easily. This choice led to a hard life for many people. The government focused on its army and leaders, not on its citizens. From space, North Korea looks dark at night. The main lesson is clear. Freedom, trade, and connecting with the world bring success. They help people and countries grow. When a country closes itself off, it often falls behind. People may lose freedom, and life can be difficult. South Korea's journey was not always easy. It had problems, but its leaders learned to change and adapt. They understood global connections. North Korea's path showed the dangers of staying closed and sticking to old ideas too much. The future of Korea is still not decided. The two parts remain very different. But the strong differences we see today offer clear lessons from the past. The light and darkness from space show what happens when countries choose different ways to live. What do you think is the most important lesson from the story of these two Koreas?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.